Hello there, my name is Payal Naraine and welcome to this video series. यहाँ हम कवर कर रहे हैं पूनम दलाल दहिया की एंशिएंट एंड मेडिवल इंडिया की थर्ड एडिशन, जो कि लेटेस्ट एडिशन है. इस किताब को हम थ्रूली रीड करेंगे और जहाँ ज़रूरत पड़ेगी वहाँ हम साथ ही साथ यूपीएससी एंड स्टेट सर्विसेज में आए हुए प्रीवियस ईयर के क्वेश्चंस भी डिस्कस करेंगे. एंड इस सीरीज़ में वीडियोस लगभग 30 to 35 मिनट्स के होंगे, बड़े इफेक्टिव होंगे और हम ऑलमोस्ट 40 to 45 लेक्चर्स में ये पूरी किताब कवर करेंगे. और अगर आपने ये सीरीज़ 3 to 4 टाइम्स देख ली तो बिल्कुल ये किताब आपके दिमाग में छप जाएगी एंड ट्रस्ट मी, आपकी एक्यूरेसी भी काफ़ी इंक्रीज़ हो जाएगी. साथ ही साथ आपका रिवीजन भी काफ़ी आसान हो जाएगा. सो अगर आपको रिवीजन के साथ साथ वैल्यू एडिशन भी करना है तो ये सीरीज़ पूरी फॉलो करें. आपको बस आपके पास ये किताब रखकर मुझे सुनना है एंड मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स मार्क करने हैं. So without any further delay, let's get started. Hello there, welcome back to the channel Ghatna Sutra. यहाँ हम कवर कर रहे हैं पूनम दलाल दहिया की एंशिएंट एंड मेडिवल इंडिया थर्ड एडिशन, जो कि लेटेस्ट एडिशन है. और हम आज शुरू कर रहे हैं एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन एंड सोशल लाइफ अंडर चालुक्यास. सो बिफोर वी मूव अहेड, आप अपनी बुक्स पे भी डबल स्टार मार्क कर लीजिए, क्योंकि इस टॉपिक पर स्टेट सर्विसेज में सवाल पूछे गए थे. जैसे कि उत्तराखंड पीसीएस में 2010 में सवाल आया था एंड यूपी पीसीएस में 2009 में सवाल आया था. सो दिस मेक्स दिस एन इम्पॉर्टेंट टॉपिक, सो हाईलाइट दिस इन योर बुक्स टू, डबल स्टार मार्क इट. Administration and social life under Chalukyas. Unlike the Pallavas and the Cholas, Chalukyan administration was highly centralized, and the village autonomy was completely absent. They had a small standing army but were a great maritime power. In fact, Pulicasin too had 100 ships in his navy. The Badami Chalukyas were Brahminical Hindus and accorded importance to Vedic rites and rituals. But they show equal tolerance and respect to other religion. A number of temples in the honor of Vishnu, Shiva and other gods were also built during this period. Though Buddhism was on decline in the western Deccan, Jainism was progressing steadily under the Chalukyas. In fact, Ravi Kirti, the court poet of Pulukeshin II, was a Jain scholar. So highlight Ravi Kirti's name आपकी books में, right? And you'll remember कि Ravi Kirti क्या थे? He was a Jain scholar. किनके court poet थे साथ में? Pulukeshin II के. Culturally, Chalukyan period is noted for the growth of art and architecture in Deccan. Much of the painting and sculptures of the Ajanta and Ellora caves were completed during the Chalukyans' reign. Their style of architecture is called as Chalukyan architecture. They developed Deccan or Vesara style of temple building, which reached its culmination under the Rashtrakutas and the Hoysalas, 13th century. Nearly 100 monuments built by them, rock-cut caves and structural, are found in the Malaprabha river basin in modern Bagalkot district of northern Karnataka. They mostly used locally found reddish golden sandstone in their monuments. Most of the Chalukyan temple building activities were concentrated in a relatively small area of Aihole, Badami, Patkadal and Mahakutta in modern Karnataka. Their temple building activity can be categorized primarily into three phases. Phases of Chalukyan temple building activity. First, the early phase, which began in the last quarter of the 6th century. In this phase, prominently cave temples were built, such as the three elementary cave temples at Aihole, one Vedic, one Jaina and one Buddhist, which is incomplete, followed by 4 developed cave temples at Badami, out of which 3 cave temples are Vedic and 1 belong to Jaina tradition. The noteworthy feature of these cave temples at Badami is that each has a plain exterior, but an exceptionally well-defined interior, consisting of pillared veranda, a columned hall, mandapa, and a cella, shrine cut deep into the rock, which contain the deity of worship. The Vedic temple contains large well-sculptured image of Harihara, Mahishasur-mardini, Varha, Narsimha, Trivikrama, Vishnu seated at Ananta the snake and Nataraja the dancing Shiva. Highlight this in your books. ठीक है? So it will help you answer क्वेश्चंस अप्रोप्रिएटली, क्योंकि बहुत सारी चीज़ें आपको यहाँ ही से याद हो जाएगी. लाइक वॉच दिस वीडियो 2 to 3 टाइम्स. आपका रिविजन विल बी वेरी ईजी एंड इट विल हेल्प यू एलिमिनेट द ऑप्शंस इन द एग्जामिनेशन, ताकि आप जल्दी करेक्ट आंसर के पास पहुँच पाएँ. राइट. द सेकेंड फेज. This phase of temple building was at Ahole, where some 70 structures existed and has been called one of the cardinals of Indian temple architecture, and Badami. There are Lad Khan Temple, which, with its interesting perforated stone windows and sculptures of river goddess. The Meghuti Jain Temple, which showed progress in structural design, and the Durga Temple, with its northern Indian style tower. Other Dravidian style temples from this period are the Nagnath Temple at Nagral, Banantiguri Temple, and the Mahakuteswara Temple. So highlight जो टेम्पल के नाम हैं आपकी बुक्स में, राइट. वैसे तो ये आर्ट एंड कल्चर में भी कवर किए जाएंगे, बट हाईलाइट दिस एज वेल आपकी बुक्स में फ़िलहाल. एंड आप ये भी ध्यान रखिएगा कि कौन सा टेम्पल, जस्ट इन केस अगर उसके आसपास कोई रिवर मेंशन्ड है तो आप वो भी याद रखिएगा. ठीक है. द मेच्योर फेज. द मेच्योर फेज ऑफ Badami Chalukyan architecture included the structural temples at Patadakal, which were built in the 8th century and now are a UNESCO World Heritage Site. There are 10 temples at Patadakal, 6 in the southern Dravidian style and 4 in the northern Nagra style. Well known among these are the Sangameshwar Temple, the famous Virupashka Temple of Karnataka, which contains a lot of representation from the Mahabharata. Highlight this आपकी कॉपी में, right? And the Mallikarjuna Temple, built in the southern style. Inscriptional evidence suggests that the Virupaksha and the Mallikarjuna Temple were commissioned by the two queens of King Vikramaditya II after his military success over the Pallavas of Kanchipuram. The Bhutanatha group of temple at Badami are also from this period. Eastern Chalukyas of Vengi. In the second half of the 8th century, the Eastern Chalukyas established themselves in Vengi in Andhra Pradesh. As we have discussed earlier, Pulakeshin II, 610 to 642 CE, conquered the Vengi region of in eastern Deccan, and in 624 CE appointed his brother Vishnuvardhana as the governor of newly acquired territory. Probably after the death of Pulakeshin II, Vishnuvardhana declared independence, and thus the Eastern Chalukyas of Vengi came into prominence. Initially, the capital of Eastern Chalukyas was Vengi, nearly a modern Eluru, but later it was moved to Rajamahendravarman, modern Rajamundry. Throughout their history, the Eastern Chalukyas were the cause of many wars between the more powerful Cholas and Western Chalukyas, since they controlled the strategic Vengi country. The 5 centuries of Eastern Chalukya rules of Vengi saw not only the consolidation of this region into a unified whole, but also saw the efflorescence of Telugu culture, literature, poetry, and art during the later half of their rule. They continued ruling the regions as feudatories of Cholas until 1189 CE. Their kingdom ultimately succumbed to the Hosalas and the Yadavas. Vishnuvardhana, around 624 CE. Vijayaditya II, 808 to 847 CE, one of the most important rulers of this dynasty, who led successful military expeditions against the Rashtrakutas, the Gangas, and also led campaigns into Gujarat. Even the Rashtrakutas' inscription acknowledged their defeat at the hands of Vijayaditya, and they admitted that the glory of their kingdom was drowned in the ocean of the Chalukyas. Vijayaditya III, 848 to 892 CE, another important ruler of this dynasty who claimed to have won over not only the Pallavas, the Pandyas, the Gangas, the Rashtrakutas, the Kalachuris, and the South Kosla, but also gave shelter to a Chola king. Bhima I, 892 to 922 CE. He was captured by the Rashtrakuta king but was later released. Vijayaditya IV, around 922 CE, for a period of 6 months. From his reign, many succession disputes erupted in which Rashtrakuta openly interfered and backed one of the other contenders. The later rulers thus had a very short reign from 6 months to a mere fortnight too. Some political stability was restored during the reign of Bhima II and Amma II, but it did not last for a long time, and subsequently in 999 CE, the eastern Chalukyas of Vengi were conquered by the Chola king Rajaraja. Chalukyas of Lata. Initially, in their early years, they started as feudatories of Western Chalukyas, but gradually during the 10th and the 11th century, with the diminishing power of the Western Chalukyas, they declared themselves independent and started ruling in the Lata region of present-day Gujarat and were ultimately defeated by the Chalukyas of Gujarat, Solankis. Nimbarkar, not much is known about him. Barappa, 970 to 990 CE. The dynasty's first prominent ruler, who earlier worked as a general of the Western Chalukyan king Tilapa II and was subsequently made the governor of the Lata region by Tilapa. It is believed that a joint army of Barappa and the Shakambhari king defeated the Solanki ruler Mularaja. According to Hemchandra Devashraya Kavya, Mularaja's son Chamunda Raja invaded Lata and killed Barappa. Gogi Raja, 1990 to 1010 CE. Barappa's son Gogi Raja probably reviewed the family fortunes in the Lata region. Kirti Raja, 1010 to 1030 CE. A 940 Shaka 1018 CE copper plate inscription of Kirti Raja was discovered in Surat, which lists the names of his ancestors as Gogi, Barappa and Nimbarka. Vatsaraja, 1030 to 1050 CE. Vatsa is believed to have built the golden umbrella for the god Somnath and also established free food canteen, Sutra. Trilochana Pala, 1050 to 1070 CE. Two copper plate inscription dated 972 Shaka, 1050 CE, Eklahara and 1051 CE Surat, related to Trilochan Pala have been discovered. It is titled Maha Mandaleshwara in these inscriptions. These inscriptions gives an account of mythical origin of Chalukyas. According to these inscriptions, the family's progenitor originated from the Chalukya, a vessel or a folded palm to hold water, of the creator deity Virinchi. On the deity's advice, he married the Rashtrakutas princess of Kanyakabuja. The 1050 CE inscription record his donation of the Eklahara village to a Brahmin named Taraditya. However, by 1074 CE, the dynasty appeared to have vanquished by the Solankis. Far south. So, star mark this topic about Pallavas of Kanchi when we talk about far south, क्योंकि इसके ऊपर UPPCS में 2019 एंड 2004 में सवाल पूछा गया था. सो हाईलाइट दिस टॉपिक्स आपकी बुक्स में भी, राइट. Far south. The political history of far south during this period was dominated by two prominent kingdoms, the Pallavas of Kanchi and the Pandyas of Madurai. The Pallavas of Kanchi. On the ruins of the Satvahanas in the eastern part of the peninsula, especially in the Krishna Gunta region, arose the Ikshvakus. They were probably a local tribe who adopted the exalted name of the Ikshvaku to demonstrate the antiques of their lineage. Many monuments and copper plate inscriptions at Nagarjun Konda and Dharanikota belong to them. The Ikshvakus was supplanted by the Pallavas. The term Pallava means creeper, which is a Sanskrit version of the word Tondi, and in Tamil they are synonymous to robbers. So the Pallavas were probably a pastoral local tribe who established their authority in the land of creepers called Tondai Mandalam, the land between the North Pennar and the North Vela River, mostly comprising of southern Andhra Pradesh and northern Tamil Nadu, with their capital at Kanchi. Kanchi, modern Kanchipuram, under them became an important temple town and a center of trade and commerce. Some inscription refers to the early king of this dynasty, such as Shivasa Kandavarman, who probably ruled in the 4th century CE. But in the last quarter of the 6th century, the ruler who played a crucial role in the Pallavas' race to the power was Simhavishnu. He supposedly defeated the Ikshvakus and laid the firm foundation of the Pallava Empire, putting an end to the political disturbance caused by the Kalabharas. He conquered the land up to the Kaveri and set up capital at Kanchi, South India, and bore the title of Avani Simha, Lion of the Earth. The great Sanskrit scholar Bharvi lived in his reign. Mahendravarman II. And before we Mahendravarman I. Before we move ahead with this, आप इस टॉपिक को महेंद्रवर्मन की टॉपिक को ट्रिपल स्टार कर लीजिए, क्योंकि इसके ऊपर यूपीएससी में 1993 एंड इवन इन 2020 में सवाल पूछा गया था. साथ ही यूपी पीसीएस में 1994 एंड यूपी बीईओ में 2019 में इसके ऊपर सवाल पूछा गया था. सो इट मेक्स दिस एन इम्पॉर्टेंट टॉपिक, राइट. सो आप अपनी बुक्स में भी स्टार कर लीजिए. Mahendravarman I, 590 to 630 CE. During his reign, conflict between the Chalukyas of Badami and the Pallava heightened, and he was defeated by Pulakeshin II at Pulahur, near Kanchi, who annexed the northern part of the Pallava kingdom, was a great patron of art, and was himself a poet and a musician. He wrote the famous Sanskrit work Matavilasa Praharasana and adopted the title of Chitra Karapuli, revealing his talent in painting. During his reign, a contemporary called Dakshin Charitra was also completed. The music inscription of Kudumayan Malai is ascribed to him and is testimony to his music talent. आपको जहाँ पे भी ऐसे इंपॉर्टेंट वर्ड्स दिखे वाइल यू रीडिंग विद मी, ठीक है, आप इनको अपनी बुक्स में मार्क कर लीजिएगा, बिकॉज इट विल हेल्प यू रिवाइज इट अगेन. ठीक है. He is also a great builder of cave temple, as evident from Mandagapathum inscription, which hails him as Vichitrachitta, who constructed a temple for Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva without the use of brick, timber, metal and mortar. He initiated the construction of famous cave temple at Mahabalipuram, and his rock cut temples are found in the number of places like Vallam, Mahendravadi, Dalavunur, Pallavaram, Mandagaputtu and Trichinpalli. Was earlier a Jaina but later took up Shivism under the influence of Apara. Highlight this आपकी बुक्स में, ठीक है. He built a Shiva temple at Tiruvadi. और जहाँ पे भी हम जो भी चीज़ हाईलाइट कर रहे हैं, जो आप आपकी बुक्स में हाईलाइट कर रहे हैं, मेक श्योर दैट यू रिवाइज देम, क्योंकि टाइम लाइन, इवन राइटर्स, और अगर कोई स्पेसिफिकेशन के बारे में बात की जाए तो वी मे फाइंड क्वेश्चंस ऑन दीज टॉपिक्स इन द एग्जामिनेशन, चाहे वो स्टेट सर्विसेज की हो या यूपीएससी में हो, राइट. सो हाईलाइट दिस एंड रिवाइज इट ऑफन. नरसिम्हावर्मन वन एंड स्टार मार्क नरसिम्हावर्मन वन टॉपिक, क्योंकि इसके ऊपर यूपीपीसीएस में 2007 के ऊपर क्वेश्चन आया था. ठीक है, लेट्स गेट स्टार्टेड. नरसिम्हावर्मन वन Mahamalla 630 to 668 CE avenged his father's defeat and not only defeated Pulakeshin II but also invaded the western Chalukyan kingdom and captured Badami with the help of a Sri Lankan prince Manavarma. Claimed to have won over not only the Chalukyas but also the Cholas, Cheras and Kalabharas, dispatched 2 naval expeditions to help his friend Manavarma, but subsequently Manavarma was defeated and he had to seek political refuge at his court. Enthusiastic patron of architecture, and along with constructing the port of Mamlapuram, he also ordered the construction of rathas at Mahabalipuram. It is in honor of Narasimhavarman I and that Mahabalipuram is also known as Mamlapuram. It is during his reign that Hunsang visited the Pallava capital Kanchipuram and later described Kanchi as a big and a beautiful city, 6 miles in circumference. It had 100 Buddhist monasteries in which about 10,000 Buddhist monks lived. The people of Kanchi were a great learners. Here in the image you can see a Rath temple at Mahabalipuram. Mahendravarman II, 668 to 670 CE. The Pallava-Chalukyan conflict continued for subsequently decades and Mahendravarman II died fighting the Chalukyas. Parmeshwara Varman I, 670 to 695 CE, defeated the Chalukyan king Vikramaditya and also the Gangas, built temple at Kanchi. Narasimhavarman II Rajsimha, 700 to 728 CE, constructed Rajsimeshwara slash Kailashnath temple at Kanchipuram. Shore temple at Mahabalipuram. Famous Sanskrit scholar Dandin was at his court. Sent an ambassador to China. राइट सो जो यहाँ पे हमने अभी अंडरलाइन करा हुआ है इसके ऊपर राइट आप इसको अपनी बुक में भी अंडरलाइन करिए क्योंकि वी मे फाइंड क्वेश्चन ऑन दिस टॉपिक ठीक है इन एनी ऑफ द एग्जामिनेशंस चाहे वो स्टेट सर्विसेज हो या यूपीएससी की एग्जामिनेशन हो ठीक है Paramedaswarman II, 728 to 731 CE. During his reign, the Pallava capital Kanchi was attacked by the Chalukyas and he suffered a humiliating defeat. Nandivarman II, 731 to 795 CE, patronized Purendavanar, who translated the Mahabharata as Bharata Venba in Tamil. Dantivarman, 795 to 846 CE. During his reign, Rashtrakuta king Govind III invaded Kanchi. Nandivarman III, 846 to 869 CE, managed to defeat the Pandyas. Aparajita, 880 to 893 CE, the last known Pallava king, with the help of Western Gangas and Cholas, defeated the Pandyas in the Battle of Sri Purambiyam. In 893 CE, the Pallavas were ultimately overthrown by the Chola king Aditya I, and the area of Tondai Mandalam passed under the suzerainty of Cholas. Culturally, the reign of Pallavas is important for the growth of Tamil Bhakti literature and the Dravidian style of art and architecture in South India. It was under them that Mahabalipuram emerged as an important center of temple architecture, administration and social life under Pallavas. The Pallava had a very well organized administrative system headed by the king, who was assisted by the able ministers. The state was divided into kotams, and each kotam was administered by officers appointed by the king. A well-trained army was maintained by the king. The land grants provided to the temple by the king were known as Devadana, and to the Brahmanas were known as Brahmadeya, which are exempted from tax. Land tax was the primary source of the government revenue, though tax was also collected from carpenters, goldsmiths, oil pressers, and weavers. The government had the primary responsibility of providing irrigation facilities, and a number of irrigation tanks were dug by the Pallava king. For instance, the irrigation tank at Mahendravadi and Manmadur were dug during the reign of Mahendravarman I. The village assemblies were called sabhas, which looked after local affairs, maintained record of the village land, and managed temples. During the reign of Pallavas, however, the caste system became rigid in Tamil society. The position of Brahmanas were further consolidated to the land grants by the king and the nobles, and they were also given the responsibility of looking after temples. During the Pallavas, Buddhism and Jainism suffered from a decline, whereas Shivism and Vaishnavism witnessed a much rise. Much of the rise is attributed to the Bhakti movement, which we are going to study in detail in the later chapter. The Devaram, composed by Nayanaras, and the Nalaradivya Prabandhanam, composed by Alvars, represent the rich religious architecture of the Pallava period. Another important literary work belonging to Pallava is Nandi Kalambagam, but the name of the author of this work is unknown. Pallavas were also a great patron of learning, and the capital Kanchi emerged as an ancient center of learning. The Ghatna at Kanchi attracted students from both India and abroad. In fact, Diganaga, the famous Buddhist writer, came to study at Kanchi, and Dharmapala belonged to Kanchi, who later became the head of Nalanda University under the patronage of Pallavas. Music, dance, and painting too reached great height. The Mamandur inscription contained a note on the notation of the vocal music, whereas the Kudumenmandai inscription referred to musical notes and instrument. The famous Sitanavalsal painting belonged to the Pallavas. It is also great age of temple building, as the Dravidian style of temple architecture actually began under the Pallavas. The gradual evolution starting from the cave temples to monolith rath culminated in structural temple. In fact, the development of temple architecture can be traced primarily to four stages. Rock cut temple. The Pallava under Mahendravarman I introduced the art of excavating temples from rock. This style is visible at places like Mahendravadi, Mamundur, Mandagapattu, Dalvanur, Valam, Trichinpalli, Tirukakurnam, and Siamangalam. Monolithic ruts. Ruts and mandapas. The second stage of Pallava architecture mostly pertained to the reign of Narasimhavarman I and is concentrated at Mamlapuram. The five ruts, popularly called the Panch Pandava ruts, signifying five different styles of temple architecture. Structural temple. The next stage belonged to the reign of Rajsimha, who introduced structural temples built by using the soft sandstone rock. The famous Kailashnath temple at Kanchi and the shore temple of Mahabalipuram are the finest example of this stage. Structural temples built by the later Pallavas. The Vaikunda Perumal temple, the Matangeshwar temple and the Mukteshwara temple at Kanchipuram belong to this stage of architecture. The Pallava also contributed to the development of sculptures. The sculptural beauty of this period is witnessed in both the sculpture found in the temple and the open art gallery found at Mamlapuram. The descent of Ganges and the penance of Arjuna are more like a fresco painting in the stone owing to the minute details and to the themes of the sculptures. So that's all for the day, and in the next chapter we'll start with Ellora group of caves, Ajanta group of caves, right? So keep on watching Ghatna Sutra. See you next time.